Good morning. It's Thursday, December 7th, and I'm going to be doing some cooking today to prep for the upcoming Christmas holiday. This is one of the last few days I have to do this while my kids are at school because we have a lot of events coming up. So today I hope to make spring rolls, vegetable spring rolls, chicken spring rolls, spanakopita. I'm going to freeze all those for orders for Christmas. And then I also want to make cranberry sauce and can it for Christmas gifts. And then I'd also like to make some dinner rolls for tonight for supper. We're gonna have sandwiches again, even though we just had sandwiches 2 days ago. I noticed our last rolls just weren't as nice as I'd like, and I checked my yeast and it expired in 2020. So that shows how long it's been since I bought yeast. So I just bought brand new yeast last night. So we're gonna do a dinner roll recipe as well. I'll film what I can, but I'll kind of show you what I'm up to today. All right, here we go. All right, I'm gonna make spanakopita first, for no other reason that I already have the spinach out. So I'm gonna use a whole bag of spinach. I bought this last night for full price because there's a lot of snow on the ground right now. I just pulled my parsley out of the garden. So you can see I had to dig for it. So it's gonna be a spinach, onion, garlic. I usually do a can of diced tomatoes, but I've got this little bit of tomato paste in the fridge to use up. And I want this jar for cranberry sauce. Dill, I don't have any fresh dill, but this is dill pickles that I dehydrated because they were 2 years old. So I dehydrated these in August and just powdered them. So I'm gonna add some of this and an egg. And that's gonna be my filling. And I'm gonna, instead of rolling it up in phyllo dough, I'm gonna roll it up in spring roll pastries because I got these pretty cheap at Superstore the other day. All right, so the whole bag of spinach is going in. Just a rough chop. I just bought this last night and I noticed there's already some pieces in here that I don't want to use. This is why I don't like doing grocery pickup, because I'm picky, I guess. So I'm just gonna rough chop this spinach. You can also use frozen spinach. I prefer fresh, but you can absolutely use frozen spinach. My oldest really loves spinach, so I haven't been able to really grow enough to put up spinach in the freezer, but I think I might make that a goal for next year. Spinach bulks so easily that you can really only grow it here from maybe April to June, and then maybe what? You could maybe get mid-October until late November. So something for me to look into. I just paid $4 for spinach. I think that's outrageous. Very rough chop. And then we'll do my parsley while it's right here. Parsley, maybe half a cup. grabbed these from downstairs out of my cold room. There's my other. I like to keep a second bowl on the counter for veggie scraps. I'll use a cereal box if we have one, but we just haven't gone through any cereal today. I do have a bit of a finer chop on these because if the onions disappear, my kids are more apt to try something. They don't mind the taste of onions, but they don't like biting into a great big chunk of onion. Just gonna get my pastry cutter. Counter. I do have some more in our bedroom as well hanging. This is homegrown garlic. It says 3 cloves. I'll just use a head of garlic. I pretty much use a head of garlic for anything. I saved my biggest garlic to plant. Oh, an onion. Oh, bye. So these are decent size, but this is my smallest of my garlic, so I use this up first. This is what I use to break my garlic. It's like from a mortar and pestle, I think. It was from a convenience store that was closing down. Same as with the onions, I do a pretty fine dice on the garlic for the exact same reason. My husband also doesn't like biting into a big chunk of garlic. I honestly would eat garlic whole. In goes the garlic. What else we got? Oh, I'm gonna use up. Okay, so that's it for chopping for right now. Move this to the side. Get my coffee. So like I said, I'm gonna use this tomato paste. Just use it up. You can not put tomatoes in it. You can add diced tomatoes. I don't like to use too much tomatoes because you don't want the filling to be too wet. There we go, I have another jar. My recipe I'm making is for 9 cups of cranberry sauce. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This the kids just used up this morning. 7, 8. And maybe I can find another pint jar in the fridge. I'm gonna add some of the dill, dried dill pickle. And I'm not gonna add salt because we have the salt from the feta and the dill pickle, so I'll taste it and see. I need an egg. These are from our chickens. It's not really, I might have to do 2. Some of these eggs are a little bit small. And then feta. Alright, just fine crumbles. I'm going to save that for now because I don't know if I can use that for anything, but regardless, I'll save the container for when people take leftovers home. I'd say I'm definitely going to need a second egg. This is still looking pretty wet or pretty dry. This is a small egg. Our chicken really just started laying in September, and they typically stop over the winter. Like right now, we're only getting 2 to 3 eggs a day. They just started laying in September. It's now December, but 2 weeks will be the shortest day of the year. So I'm hoping by about February, we'll be back up to about 3 eggs a day. All right, so that's pretty much it for the filling for this one. So there we go. Now, when I do go, I'm gonna put this in the fridge. When I do go to wrap them, I'll squeeze all this liquid out. I'm just gonna sit this in the fridge, let those onions kind of break down a little bit, and keep working on my fillings for my spring rolls. So for my vegetable and my chicken spring rolls are gonna have most of the same ingredients. I'm just gonna get everything prepped on my board because some of it's gonna be fried. I'm just gonna cup of coffee, put away the rest of my stuff, my eggs and everything. Oh, I gotta put the kettle on for the noodles. And I just have my mason jar soaking in the sink, that one with the jam. It's gonna need a couple minutes. So for vegetables, I bought pre-shredded cabbage. I went into Gateway and they didn't have any cabbages. And then I did a pickup order at Superstore and they didn't have any whole cabbages. I'm sure they did and they just didn't know where they were. So they gave me coleslaw mix. I just grabbed a carrot out of the cold room, just gave it a quick scrub down with a brush. Mushrooms I got at Gateway. And homegrown garlic and 2 homegrown onions. And I think that's all I'm putting in for filling mostly, besides, did I get garlic? Yeah, garlic. Oh, I'll go grab some more parsley out of the garden. And I'm just gonna put water on these noodles to let them rehydrate. Just gonna move these over here so I don't forget about them. I'm not gonna put the lid on, I'll just put it on top. Okay, so you probably don't want to see me chopping vegetables again, so I'm gonna shred the carrot, dice the onions, dice the garlic, and I'm also going to dice the mushroom. I'd like to be able to take a bite of a spring roll and get a little bit of everything. I'll need 2 full onions, probably not. But if I don't use them all, I'll use them in supper tonight. Oh yeah, I was gonna do chicken tonight for supper. Ooh, I think I'll do for tonight instead of sandwiches, because we just had sandwiches. I think I'll do chicken, grilled chicken with pasta, and I'll do like little garlic bread buns. Yes, I much prefer the idea of that. Just like I use, so I plant my biggest garlic, and then I use the smallest ones first. Sort of, I don't know if you'd call it a punishment, but to get it out of the way, I suppose. For onions, I use the biggest ones first, and I don't save any for planting, because look already, this onion is only a couple months old. We had so much rain this summer, over triple what we normally have. These are already, this one's already starting to go bad. So I don't normally rinse my onions, but I'm gonna rinse these because that one was a bit slimy. If your fingertips of fresh garlic, the homegrown garlic, the skins are especially sticky. So I found if you wet your finger, just your fingertips, they don't stick nearly as bad. I don't know if I'll leave in me dicing up garlic for the first recipe, but you'll see my fingers are covered in skins by the time I'm done. I still didn't mash these with as much wild abandon. All right, so I just finished chopping everything. It's just about nearly 10 a.m. My noodles are soaked. I just used a pair of scissors to just chop them up because you don't want a great big long piece when you bite into it. I forgot I had some ginger in the fridge from a flash food box, so I just chopped that up. My cabbage, carrots, mushrooms, onions, and garlic. I know this is a lot of garlic. I really love garlic. So this is gonna be fillings for the chicken spring rolls and the vegetable spring rolls. I do need to grind the chicken. I just have chicken breast. So I do need to grind the chicken, but I'm gonna get started first. This is my second cup of coffee. I'm gonna get started first on my bread dough for rolls tonight. So I'll get started on that. All right, I won't go into detail because I just made a video with my son on making rolls. This is my leftover kettle water this morning. 2.5 cups of warm water, a tablespoon of yeast. And sorry, I said my yeast had expired in 2020. It actually expired in 2021. Let's keep this in the freezer. Let that start bubbling, and then add the rest of my ingredients. Okay, so it's been in the mixer for about 5 minutes. Just turned it off. Give it a lower here. So everything's formed into a ball and it's quite elastic. This is harder to do with one hand. I miss my cameraman, but he's feeling much better today. Oof. So what I'll do is I take the whole dough ball out. A little bit of oil at the bottom, dough ball in, dough ball flipped, and just cover it with towels. I wanted to do this first because I didn't want to grind my chicken or make bread after grinding chicken. So I'll get this covered up, get my olive oil put over on the other counter for when I fry my fillings, and I'll get started grinding chicken. All right, so it's time to grind up the chicken. I wanted the bread to be far away from chicken station so I can kind of sanitize this all. My package chicken breast I just bought at Gateway was $9.28. There's 4 breasts in it. I'm going to use 2 for the spring rolls, and then I'm going to cook the other 4 tonight for a pasta dish. So you absolutely do not need to have a stand mixer. However, it does make things easier. And I didn't actually buy this for myself. My mom, my sister, my brother, and my sister's boyfriend, I guess my brother-in-law, all pitched in one Christmas and bought this for me. And then a couple years later, my mom bought me this grinder attachment, which is super handy. I do use it to grind meats. And I used to use it to grind herbs sometimes, but then I bought myself a blender, which I find works even better. So it's a pretty simple concept. Food goes in, plunge it in, and the mixer turns an auger, which pushes it through a grinder plate. I just need a bowl. So you can absolutely make bread by hand. I did it for years and years and years. It does take a little more. It is a little bit harder on the wrists. You can also buy a bread maker. I often see them on Marketplace for like $10 or $15. I think they'll even bake the bread in it for you. Okay, so I'm gonna grind up this chicken, and then I'm gonna cook my fillings, get them in the fridge to kind of chill, and so I can remove a little bit of the water because you really don't want soggy spring rolls. And while those are chilling, I'm gonna get started on my cranberry sauce. I already have most of my dishes done. And after my cranberry sauce is in the canner, because that's probably gonna takes about 10 minutes to heat up, 10 minutes to process, so probably another 45 minutes after that, I should be just rolling into an early lunch. All right, so let's get this chicken ground up, and then I will take you over and we will make our fillings. All right, I'm gonna try my best to video this one-handed. So, I had my pan's hot and I just added a few tablespoons of olive oil. I'm gonna do the chicken filling first. So this is my minced chicken I just did. I'm making a mess already. Okay, I need to scrape this out because chicken's expensive. Okay, well, fry my chicken. And then once it's cooked, put it in a bowl, and then I'm gonna do my veggies. All right, so there I got my chicken done. I've only made a little bit of a mess. Okay, so I just put a little more olive oil in here. In here, I'm gonna add my onions. Usually you would use green onions, I believe, but I have no green onions and I wanna use my own onions. Okay, so onions in the pan. We're gonna let those cook until they are translucent. I have to video step by step because I cannot figure out how to put things in the pan without it making a mess. So this is about the stage I want my onions before I start adding other things. Next I'm gonna add my mushrooms, then garlic and ginger, then carrots and cabbage. I decided at the same time to get my cranberries started. This is two 600-gram bags, approximately a little over 2 pounds of cranberries, just frozen ones. I added 4.5 cups of water. I got it on high and I'm just gonna get these boiling. All right, I've cooked the mushrooms, ginger, and garlic for about 2 more minutes, and I just added half of my shredded carrots and half my shredded cabbage. I'm gonna let this cook for maybe a minute or two. I'm gonna add back in my chicken, and then I'm gonna add my, all right, so this is my chicken added back in. I added most of my sauce already. I forgot I was gonna film it. This is oyster sauce, soy sauce, water, and cornstarch. So I'll just pour that in, let that thicken up a little bit, and then I'll put it in a bowl and put it in the fridge. Okay, so I got my onions in here. This is for the vegetable spring rolls. So I got my onions in here. I'm just gonna add my mushrooms now. My cranberries are just coming to a boil, but it's already 11:24. So what I might do is get this spring roll filling done and mixed up and put in the fridge to cool off. And then I might wait until my cranberries are cooled off because the recipe I just looked at says I need to put them through a strainer to remove the skins. Usually I just eat the skins in the strawberry or in cranberry sauce, so I might skip that step, but I don't know. We'll see. Where I'm canning it, maybe you have to remove the skins. I'll have to look into it and I'll get back to you. Okay, so there's everything in the pot. I'm just gonna leave my noodles in the bowl and add my veggies on top. I'm gonna add my sauce. So this is cornstarch, soy sauce, oyster sauce, and I did add a little bit of fish sauce. I'm not worried about these being vegetarian or vegan because none of us are. All right, I am back. It's about 45 minutes later. I did stop to have lunch and check on if I had to strain the cranberries. I do not. So in this pot, I have 6 cups of cranberry pulp. I just mashed it up with a potato masher. It's just getting reheated right now. And I checked on the Pomona's website. It's fine to put in whole cranberries. It's root vegetables, you can't have the peelings on. So cranberries are fine. I did say though to decrease the amount of pectin by half a teaspoon, and I am doing a triple recipe here. So I have 6 cups of my juice, that's the cranberry mash. I'm gonna use 3 teaspoons of calcium. I only mixed up 1/8 of a cup of this because I'm probably not going to be doing any more jams until springtime, so I don't want calcium water sitting in my fridge, so hopefully I'll use most of this. So 3 teaspoons of calcium. The juice and zest of 1 orange was optional, which is good because I don't have an orange. Then I'm going to mix 2 1/4 cups of sugar with 3 teaspoons of pectin because it's a half teaspoon less per recipe. All right, so my cranberries are coming up to a boil. I'm gonna add my calcium water, mix up my sugar, and add that. All right, so here is my cranberries. I'm just gonna add, so you mix the pectin in with the sugar. Do you see that little brown streak? That's the pectin. So as well as you can, mix the pectin in. If you do not mix it with the sugar, or you can also use honey, it will clump really badly when you put it into the hot fruit mixture. So like most jams and jellies, we're gonna bring this up to a rolling boil And I believe boil it for 1 minute. I can double check the directions. All right, so we're almost ready for canning, and my canner just beeped. My jars are warm. I'm using an electric canner today. You don't have to. I normally use a steam canner, but I'm doing a lot of pressure canning, so I've been using the electric pressure canner. So I figured I might as well use it since it's already on my counter. All right, I'll probably jar these up and then I'll show you, because it's hard to deal with boiling sugar liquid while filming. All right, so I just wipe the rims, put on the lids, and put them in the canner. They're in there for 10 minutes. This is just coming up to temperature. It'll start counting down when it's processing. My kitchen's in a bit of a state. This is all my dirty dishes. A lot of the cranberries stuck to the bottom, so I'm just soaking that pot. Some clean stuff. And I'll bring you over. Sorry for the whiplash. I got my rolls are rising. They're already bigger than the ones I made the other day. So I'd say, yeah, my yeast had lost its effectiveness. And I just left the flour on the counter from rolling out my rolls because I'm gonna get started on my fillings. So I have 100 sheets, so I might as well make them all. It's 2 tablespoons of filling per wrapper, and I'm gonna roll up the sides, and then I have some cornstarch and water here to seal the edges. I've got a cookie sheet here. I'm gonna do chicken first. So out of 100, we'll see probably around 30 of each type. And if I have leftover filling, I'll just eat it, honestly. So I'm gonna get started. I don't have a way to like show overhead. Maybe that's something I'll look into, because I do like being able to see people's process. So I'm just gonna go for it. So say 1.5, 2. Probably half of that mixture, so that's good. That would make 16, so that would be actually excellent. See how she goes. I don't usually work with spring roll dough. If I'm going to do something like this, I would have used phyllo, but this is what was on sale. Or wonton wrappers. I really like wonton wrappers because you can keep them in the fridge and they stay good for a long time, but I don't know if my superstore is carrying wonton wrappers anymore. So there we go. That's my first one. Not too bad for number 1. And I just sealed the edge with the flour mixture, or the cornstarch mixture. All right, 1 down, 99 to go. There's no way I'm showing all this. I'll video for a couple minutes and then I will. All right, so bear with me. I just finished the chicken ones. So the hardest part is getting the sheets apart, especially if you have any sort of damp on your hands, like from dipping your fingers in cornstarch water. So I laid out all, this is I think 23. So this is my chicken ones are just in the freezer. It made 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. So there's 25 here. These are all gonna be the vegetable. I'm gonna have more sheets than I have filling made for. That's okay though, you can't refreeze them. So I have a plan, I think. Needs more baking. The oven is heating up for the rolls. I have an hour before the kids come home. I can do the dishes when they get home, but I'd like to have everything else done. My canner's on cool down. All right, so I'm just gonna see how fast I can get these. I'm actually gonna time myself. Right, good news is that literally took me 8 minutes to roll them all up. Bad news is I still have 60 wrappers and probably about 20 wrappers worth of filling. So I have an idea, maybe 2 for the rest of these. So this is round 2 of dinner rolls. This is what they should have looked like the other day. See how much bigger they are? And yeah, so definitely needed new yeast. Cranberry sauce out of the canner. It's spring rolls, cranberry sauce, dinner rolls, and dessert rolls I made with the kids. It is the next morning. I just grabbed these out of the freezer, even though it's 8 a.m. The kids just got on the school bus. I just grabbed these from the freezer and threw them in the air fryer. Normally people would deep fry spring rolls, but I don't have a deep fryer, so I air fry everything. So this is, I'll give you the non-cut bitten end. That's the chicken, the spanakopita, and the vegetable. Honestly, these are all delicious. The spanakopita is a little less flavorful than I'd like. On the spring rolls, I did have 40 wrappers left. So after school every day in December, we do an activity, sort of like an advent calendar. So last night's activity was to use up spring roll wrappers, basically. So we took 20. I didn't do all 40. I took 20, and this was the combination we came up with that tasted the best. So these are apples that I canned back in October. I just use drop apples. So obviously we used quite a few, and then I gave them some for their lunch. So canned apples, cinnamon sugar, and then like 2 chocolate chips per roll up, and rolled them up just like a spring roll and put them in the air fryer, and they were so good. Really good snack, and we'll probably do the last 20. I don't know if I'll do them up myself and freeze them, or if we'll just eat them after school. Not sure yet. Will depend what the kids are saying. But these came out really well. I think they would taste even better deep fried, but definitely a winner. And I'm gonna go through, and once again, because I'm obsessed with cost of things, I'm gonna see how much these cost to make compared to how much they are to buy. Okay, both the chicken and the vegetable spring rolls turned out fantastic. I would say even much better than the ones you are able to buy in the grocery store. For the chicken, it worked out to a total of $8.80. I forgot about buying cabbage. I usually do grow my own cabbage, but it just was not the year for cabbage around here. So it turned out to $8.80 to make 20. That works out to 44 cents per spring roll. In the grocery store, they were $9.99 for 24. That works out to 42 cents per spring roll. I would still make them again. I'm sure they do come on sale. This isn't something I usually watch because this is not something I normally buy, but I'm sure they do come on sale for much cheaper than that. The veggie spring rolls are equally as good as the chicken. They were much cheaper because I just used noodles in place of the chicken. So they worked out to be $6.28 for 20. So that turns into 31 cents per spring roll. And in the superstore, there's the same price, $9.99 for 24, works out to 42 cents per roll. So your best money savings, I suppose, would be on the veggie, especially if you were doing them in large quantities. So I think if I did these again, I would just stick to the chicken and veggie, maybe do like 20 chicken and 40 veggie. I think that would probably be an adequate number. And then maybe make spanakopita with the phyllo dough. So that's my take on making your own appetizers for Christmas.